no one really teaches you how to be a CEO. And I remember perfectly when I did my first company, I've been talking with some friends from college, 2 years after college, that we want to do this internet company. It was 1998, all these big internet companies and the billionaires having their cover in the magazine, making all this money. And we said, hey, we want to do an internet company. And we've been talking about this idea, but we have never really put it in place. So one day I called all these friends and said, hey, whoever really wants to do the company, let's meet in this cafe and let's agree on, let's move forward. 3 of my friends came into the place. We sit down and say, okay, what are we going to do? How much money we need to invest? Who's going to do what? Like we kind of organized the company and made an agreement that we're going to go into business together. 4 friends from college. And then when we finished, one of my friends said, hey, why don't we give each other job descriptions or positions, like for us to do unique things? Perfect. So the guy on my left says, hey, you know what? I worked in Merrill Lynch the last 2 years after college, so I know a lot about finance. We were doing a financial website for the Mexican market. So we built the first e-trade for Latin America. And by the way, this company, we did it or started when I was 25 until I was 29 when we sold it. By the time that we sold the company, we had 1,200 employees, operations in 9 countries, 3 banks, and 5 brokerage houses in all over Latin America and Spain. It was a great run. We raised a lot of money from big investors like Goldman Sachs and all the JP Morgan and the rest. And it was a great run. And that helped me learn really, really fast all of this. And here's going back to the story of what we learned. So my friend said, hey, I worked in Merrill Lynch. I know more about finance. So I'll take care of the product in the financial aspect of the product, but I'll also be the CFO of the company. Great. The guy in front of me said, hey, I went to college and I studied electrical engineering, so I'll be the CTO. Perfect. My friend on the right said, hey, you know, my father organizes concerts, so I help him sell the concerts, so I'll be in charge of sales and marketing. Perfect. And they look at me and said, and what are you going to do? And I was like, wow. We're a financial company. He knows more than I know about finance. I said, great. It's an internet company, so we need to know technology. So we need to have a CTO. Great. And then we need to sell the product, right? So we have a marketing guy. And I was like, okay, I'll be the CEO. And they look at me, it's like, why? And I was like, you guys know more than I know of those 3 areas, and those are the 3 pillars of the company. So someone has to take direction and really like coordinate the company. I'll be the CEO. And they look at each other and said, okay. And that was it. So I went home that day. I was 25. Went home and told my parents, hey, I'm a CEO. And my parents look at me, it's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm a CEO. And what do you mean you're a CEO? Of what? Well, I just built this company with a friend, or with these 3 friends, and I'm going to be the CEO of the company. And I asked my dad, what is to be a CEO? What do I have to do? And that's kind of the first time you realize you have to be a CEO. Most people really focus on what they're going to sell, who they're going to sell it to, pricing, how they're going to financing. And then one day they wake up and they have to pay payroll and they have an office and all these expenses, and they realize they need to learn how to be a CEO. So no one really prepares you for that moment. We're going to talk about that. And I really believe you have to build a CEO system. When I go to a company, I said, hey, show me your systems. And they show me their accounting system and production system and customer support system and all that. And I say, great, show me your CEO system. And they look at me and said, what do you mean? And I was like, yeah, how do you take decisions? How do you communicate your decisions? How do you know what people are doing? How do you run as a CEO? And everyone tells me what they do, but everyone tells me something different. So I really believe we have systems and procedures very, very well done for every position on the company, except for being the CEO. Why? Because we're our own bosses, we do whatever we want, and we like to do whatever we want. No, there's certain tools, methodologies, format to be a better CEO. So I'm putting all of that together and calling it ScaleX and ImpactX. So we'll talk about that. So for me, on the CEO system, you need to know how to prioritize, how to measure everything you're doing, and how to communicate. The biggest issue when a company is scaling is communication. And you are the one that is like the referee, like putting people together and communicating each other, but also through the right direction and with the right metrics or KPI. If you cannot measure it, you cannot fix it. It's your job to be able to measure everything. So we'll talk about doing those 3 things.